Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition. And today we are going to hit on some fun topics. I've been doing some other things the last couple of weeks, so I have not been able to film. And it's funny because I wrote down so many different ideas and then I couldn't remember what I'd done and what I had not done. So I don't think this is a repeat of anything I've done lately, but we will see. And then every day I wanted to film, I couldn't. So this is our day, so we're gonna make the best of it. I want to talk about how you see a lot of ascension talk, and they talk about the fifth dimension being like a wondrous, and you know, the fifth dimension is just the beginning. So this is not, in a sense, this is not your final state. The fifth dimension is kind of the gateway to see what's possible, and you have to clear everything in your body through the other dimensions that does not allow your body to rest in those frequencies, right? You can see in the fifth dimension, you know, the heaven frequencies, the beauty, the joy, but you're not really there yet. Okay, you're not. You can't stay there because you have too much stuff in the way. And with all that stuff in the way, all that stuff has to be cleared. But one word that is used to describe fifth dimensional realities is it's like a childlike wonder, right? And you just, everything is new. Everything feels new. You feel like, oh, because in a way you're kind of getting reborn and you're going to grow up as a higher self. So you're going to be reborn and then grow up again, right? Now, where it might have taken you, you know, 40 or 50 years to get to a certain place in your current life, in your human existence, you might be able to grow up and build an ascended life in maybe, let's say, 10 to 12 years. But that's if you're working on it, you know, and everyone's like, oh, it takes so long, but look how long it took you to build up everything in a human reality. So it's all relative in a sense. But you do kind of get this childlike wonder. And as you kind of start going, but it's kind of like we talked about your zodiac signs and how we start off as a human looking at our zodiac signs. We take the good and the bad and we're all these things together, right? I don't want to use good and bad. We're going to use it. We're going to allow it today. We're going to allow it because it's a duality of that, right? It's duality of the good and the bad. But it's just the things that are not our best traits. Every sign has them, and they have signs, the parts that are their strongest traits, right? It's like that old thing about when you went for a job interview, you make your strength your weakness. Like, oh, I just like people so much. That's my weakness. It was an old trope we were trained to do back in the day, you know, let me come up with a weakness, but it's not really a weakness, but I'm going to have to say that so I have a weakness. Because if I say I don't have a weakness, then I look like I'm very absorbed in myself and I'm not going to get the job. Everyone has a weakness. So you would take your strength and make it a weakness. And that's kind of what our zodiac sign is, right? You know, we have this way of kind of twisting it when we're in our human existence. Then we go through certain phases of ascension and it comes back in stronger, but we have, in a sense, made the things that were not as desirable in our sign. And we have made them, we've twisted them to where they're now viewed at a different frequency, where we're using them for a different purpose. Like I am a Taurus. We're extremely stubborn and bullheaded, and we plant our feet, and we plant our feet. And if anyone has ever been around a Taurus, you kind of know that. You know, once you plant your feet are planted, and we kind of don't get riled up that easy. But if you rile us up, then, you know, you're in for it. And so you always have the picture of the bull on the hill. And you can, you know, you keep poking at it, and eventually you're gonna get the wrath. You know, we don't play around like the Aries ram does. Let's play with our horns. We will go for the jugular in a sense. You know, that's just how Taurus is. But you take that perseverance and that strength that is a part of that, and you then can take it into your ascension process. But you get rid of the ego part of it. You know, you kind of clean it out. People have said you clarify it. You send it to the cleaners. You make it a different. You get rid of the taint on it, you know, and you make it something that's going to assist you in your process, but not be used against someone else, right? Because as humans, we use things against other people. You know, that's what we do. We use this against others, but you start just using it to support yourself and not against anyone, right? And to support your ascended reality. So when I say you have a childlike wonder, it's very similar. You know, when you start off in the fifth dimension, everything is beautiful and it's new and it's like, oh, the colors are brighter and it's so nice. People say, oh, you live like a child, you go out and you play, and you do those things. But there comes a time you have to move on from that. And you have to kind of, there's also an old human saying that, you know, you have to leave the child things behind and you have to grow up. And there's a sense of that, but it's more of a sense of taking responsibility for what you're doing. You know, you can't just run around willy-nilly and not see what you're doing, what you're creating, what you have created. Clean up what you created. I mean, that's a big thing with children. You know, they want to mess shit up. And you can tell I just spent a lot of time with the child because that's my theme. And all these things came to me while I was spending time with the child. We're going to mess it up, and then they're on to something else, messing that up. And we haven't even cleaned this up yet. And you want to go on and start something else, but I got a mess in the living room with all the other stuff you just created. And humans are very similar to that. And when you start going through your fifth dimension and that wonder, you kind of start to see that. You start to see, well, I don't want to clean that up. I want to go create over here, but I don't want to clean up this human mess I got. You know, I don't want to mess with that. I'm just going to go over here and start something else. And what we start to learn is you can't go on until you clean up that mess, because that mess is a frequency. That mess keeps you tied to an old reality. It's kind of hanging there. Like a hanging piece of fruit. You know, it's still there. I can see you. I can see you. I know you're still there. I got to get in there. I got to do it. And that's what we start to learn to do. We learn we have to kind of clean up after ourselves. We have to go back, and we might put all those things up and put them in a toy box and never go back to that reality again. But we have to close it out. We have to mess with it. You know, we can't just leave it and move on, because we're telling our universe, I can't deal with it, which means, okay, you haven't cleared the frequency. It's all about the frequency in your body that represents. It's not about that reality. We get so attached to that reality. It's not that reality. It's the frequency of that reality. It's what that reality represents to us. That's what we want to keep in mind. It's the what it's representing to us, what it brings up in us. Those are the things we have to deal with. The reality itself doesn't mean shit. It's what it meant to us. You know, it's what it invokes in us. It's what we don't want to look at. So we don't want to see. You know, that's what we have to that's what we have to kind of dive into. So you're going to dive into that. You're going to see it. And as you go through Ascension, there are a couple of things you're going to start to notice, that you start to see how that quality, of that childlike quality, is now kind of growing up a little bit. But you can see that there's still traits that you start to dominate in a sense your Ascension process. And one is when you look at what children do with time, right? Because they haven't learned yet and they haven't been conditioned yet that time controls them, right? That's why a child will always say, oh God, a week is forever. Oh my God, a day, I have to wait 2 weeks, I have to wait 2 months. And we kind of get in this thing where it's like, yeah, that's a long time. And for children, it feels like a long time. When you are an adult, a week feels like it's 10 minutes. And a year is like, oh, that's been a year. It feels like it's been 2 weeks. Because we are more bound by time, right? We segregate time out. We, in a sense, I've done a lot of videos about collapsing time. We collapse time. We put too much stuff in one moment. We put too many deadlines. You know, we truncate time. We cram too many things together. We don't flow with it. We try to control it, right? And because we try to control it, it collapses. It collapses. It collapses. We never get anything done. We're always behind. We're always trying to catch it back up. And it keeps collapsing, collapsing. It's just a cycle we get into, right? And that is something you start to learn, and you relearn, and you rediscover. Maybe that's a better word. You rediscover in Ascension that we have to flow with time. We have to really look at, okay, how long is that? How long do I need to do this one thing? You know, and I won't plan anything. I will space things out hours apart. I will get up super early. I'll give myself a 4 or 5 hour window before I have to go do something. I usually don't plan anything in the morning. I don't start doing anything around people until the afternoon. Because that's when I can get my body there. That's when we can get our vibration there. That's when you get that frequency there. And it can take a lot of time to get there. And I don't plan things back to back. I don't say, okay, this, and this. And if you do, you have to just triple and double every amount of time you think it's going to take, because we start flowing with it. We're not fighting against it. And that's why things start to slow down. That's why you're going to start to see that things, even though there's a part of you that will look at the linear calendar and say, wow, yeah, like that went really fast. That was really fast this year, or this year has gone fast. And there is some other reasons for that, due to the frequencies going on, what's going on with the collectives, where everything feels like it's really getting crunched right now. And time just feels like it's speeding up and speeding up. It's going faster, it's going faster, it's going faster. Because everyone's trying to get everything done. And the collectives speed it up, speed it up, speed it up. So you can be outside a collective, but somewhere in your body, you're still going to be attached to that collective until that collective completely falls. That's why, and by falls, it means it just dismantles. People stop being part of that collective. And if you even look back through, I did a video on, if you look back through history on how long it took certain collectives to disband, because it wasn't consciously being people leaving it, it was just over time, their universe has just removed them from it, and all of a sudden things that were very accepted were now no longer accepted anymore. And now you see that kind of going through different iterations in the collectives now. That's why the collectives have to move. We've done a lot of videos on the collective. We can't move without the collectives, because anything in your body, there's still going to be genetic coding to that collective. No matter how much you clear, you cannot finish it until that collective starts to clear. And it's the same thing. That's why you still feel the vibration is not the word I want to use, but it's the I can't think of the word. I might think of it by the end of the video, but you start to feel the shadow of it, in a sense. You still feel like, yeah, this is going fast. This still feels fast. Even though I'm trying to flow with time, there's certain things that still feel fast to me, or certain days or years that it's just flying by. Even though we do get a lot of work done in the time we're allotted when we're doing it. We're getting a lot done because we learn to flow with it more. So is it still going quicker? Yes. Is the collectives doing that and a couple other things doing that? Yes. Can we move with it more than someone in a human consciousness and a human body? Yes. So just be aware of that. Be aware of that time, and where are you trying to control time? And by controlling time, I mean I can do A, B, C, and D. And I can do all that by 2 o'clock, and I can take this meeting, and I can do this, and I can be over town by 3 o'clock. I'm not taking into account traffic. Any of these other things, I don't take any of that into account. It's just me, and I can do anything I want to do. And we just stack things on top of things and on top of things. Because I will tell you, when you're trying to get somewhere, if it ever feels like you crunch time, you're in a rush, everything starts to collapse on you. All of a sudden there's traffic. All of a sudden there's all these things in your way. We do that. Our universe does that to show us, stop doing this. Stop giving yourself no leeway. You have no room to breathe. Time can't breathe because you have just packed so much in, you're just collapsing it on itself. You're also going to notice it's going to collapse on itself when you're with a lot of people who have different frequencies than you do. You're going to collapse time. That's going to collapse time because everyone's spinning in a different direction, and holding your frequency takes all the energy you have to hold the frequency, to hold the field, and time will start to collapse. So if you're going to be around a lot of people, it's going to collapse faster than when you're by yourself. Just be aware of it. You start to flow with these things and understand, if I'm going to be with a lot of people, I can't, and this is the day I want to be with these people, I can't plan 100 things in this day because none of it gets done. If I was by myself, I maybe could get 8 things done in the day. If I've got to work with a group of people, maybe 3 things get done. Maybe 1 thing gets done in that day, and that's it. Because a lot of other things are going to come into play that's going to start to truncate the time. But if you watch children and you watch how long everything is for them, and you kind of forget, and you look at it and go, why is it? Why does the kid say that? Why does the kid act like it's so, oh my God, it takes forever? Because time stretches for them. They are stretching it out because they're not thinking more than a few seconds ahead, so everything tends to stretch out for them. The other thing I wanted to mention was we start to see the importance of being able to let go of something and move on quickly, right? And as we do that in Ascension, there's going to be a lot of stuff you'll work really hard on, and then all of a sudden you're going to know you have to let it go and move on. All of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I can't keep that. Oh, I got to move on from that. oh, I can't stay in this any longer. This whole reality I created, I got to let it go and just move forward. It's no longer aligned. That happens to us because our universe, which is just us, it doesn't want us to get attached to a lot of things. It doesn't want us to get dependent on one thing. It wants you to continually grow different things, right? Like I used to do a lot more videos, a lot more streams, but this past year I've had to focus on other things. So it's kind of, well, like, am I doing them? Yes, but nowhere near what I used to do. And the streams really, the last couple of years, I haven't done as many as I had years prior because other things have come in. And the hardest thing we're going to find is even things that we feel like are aligned, all of a sudden you either start to lose a little interest in them, you feel like you said what you needed to say, and it starts to drag, right? You don't enjoy them anymore. And or your universe will flat out just start to put so much in your calendar that you can't fit the stuff anymore. It's you don't want to get attached to certain realities, attached to certain things. And that can also be realities of people. And what you'll notice with children, they will be into something and into it and put a lot of money into it, or a lot of your money into it, obsessed with it, and then they're over it. They're done with it. I mean, I just went through the Pokemon card phase. Into it, and now he could care less about it. Doesn't care. And children don't sit there and go, oh, I remember when I was into, oh, I hate to let all those cards go to waste, or just let all that stuff sit there. It doesn't matter. Whatever. They don't have that attachment to it. They don't have that fixation on it. It's just, oh, okay, well, I'm done with it. Next thing. And they have no baggage on it. And that's what we start to learn. That's what we're trying to get to, in a sense, where you can get back to, and as we go through ascension, these are different traits you're going to keep having to fall back to. Like, I really need to look at that and understand that. Like, what was that like? We talk about being reborn and growing up. These are the things you're going to keep going with, because these are such important things to really hone in on. Because our human consciousness doesn't like to work hard on something and let that shit go. And go, okay, well, I guess I'm done with that. We don't like it because we feel like we put so much energy into it, time into it, money into it. And, energy is just time and money. We put so much into it, so much of ourself into it. And now it's like, we'll just leave it there and let it go. Whoever's supposed to find it will find it. And we just got to go do something else. We're like, what? What do you mean we got to let it go and go do something else? But if you watch children, they have no problem with it. There was a scene in one of the Toy Story movies. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the third one, where they're taking up, the kids are giving away some of their toys, and the little girl looks at the Barbie and just throws it in the box. And there's not this long monologue about how important the Barbie was or how much time she had with the Barbie. She just threw it in the box and moved on. Because that's the type of I almost want to say passionate disconnection that you have to start to have, and that you just develop over time. So when I say you have to start to have it, there's a lot of words saying that. It's kind of a word salad. I don't really so much know if I said that right. You'll start to really hone in on that skill and understand that it's critical to be able to do that. And it gets easier. And it's not easier because you're learning the new skill. You don't have that emotional attachment to all the realities you created. And you can just look at that and say, oh, okay, chuck it. Chuck it. Who cares? Doesn't matter. I just scared the cat when I threw the pen, but it doesn't matter. Just, okay, it's over. Whatever. Let me go on to the next thing. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about it. Let's move forward. So look at where you can't do that. And that normally tells us more. When you see someone else not be able to do that. Human consciousness cannot do that. They have all the stories about the thing and how important the thing was and when the thing was, who the thing belonged to, when they got the thing and how cherished the thing was, and if they gave the thing up, or what is the value of the thing. You see a lot of that. How much is this worth? It's like, well, what does it mean to you? What's it worth to you? It doesn't matter what it's worth to somebody else. But a lot of people get their own self-worth about what they have and how much it's worth. It's that external value on their worth. And our human consciousness plays that game for a long time. So I don't want to make this in too long, because I'm going to try to get another one shot today while I have the time. Okay, so You can mull over that stuff and keep practicing the art of intuition.